My name is Gav Blacksberg. I run the Wolf account. I'm going to be hosting the space tonight. We're going to be going over first market sentiment. We go around and we just discuss thoughts on what the market's doing, plenty to speak about clearly today. Then after that, we'll go into individuals. So we'll touch back. Last week, we tracked all of the individual picks of everybody that they made, and then we will see how those did. Interesting week for those, and then we'll kind of go around for next time. None of this is finished. Space to think with each other. With that being said, I'm also going to go ahead and put out a tweet right now. On that tweet, I'll just say what stocks he wants to talk about. If you drop something on that tweet, Mr. Danny Nas, the Purple Wall, has a chance to get to do some charts, throw some charts in there, and I'll probably try to bring them up into the space towards the end of the space, especially if we have time. With that being said, let's get right into things. Danny, do you want to start us off with just your thoughts overall on market sentiment?
Yeah, wow. Very, very interesting day. I think Tesla Tesla is really pulling the market down with it. If anybody's seen my Tesla chart that I've been putting out for a couple of weeks now, I did call a top somewhere between I think around 1280 and 1400. I think we came within $20 of that today. So wave 3 of 5 is in. Now I'm just going to be waiting for that wave 4. But yeah, I mean, I think, listen, we've been running, right? The market has been running. It's been hot. Everybody's making money. Everybody's happy. And then, of course, this first slap in the face, so to speak, is always the one that stings the most. Now is the time, I think, just to be a little cautious, be mindful of your positions. Did take some downside action today, and I do have puts going into tomorrow. Just some more protective hedges. This isn't the end of the world. Stocks do not go up in straight lines. They do pull back. And I think that's what we're seeing. I think it's healthy for the market. The one thing I'm going to be watching, where is the money rotating? And maybe Mel can speak to this if she's seen anything in dark pools today. I haven't really reviewed that. So maybe there's some things that are already happening. I think maybe financials tend to be one of the sectors I like to watch when we start to have these pullbacks. So that will be something that'll be on my eyes. Haven't really done any sector scans, so to speak, yet. I'm kind of just sitting on my hands. Want to see how we open up tomorrow. I do feel like we may open up with a slight gap down, and I'll just be sitting on my hands waiting to see how the market reacts to the sell-off. But at the same token, I would not be surprised if we do sell off a little bit, turn around, go red to green, and we continue on our journey. I mean, that's how wild this ride has been. And so for now, taking things day by day. But I have to say, go where the relative strength is. And later on, we'll talk about some of the names that I'm going to be looking at. But there was some names today that held up really, really nicely. So for now, that's where my eyes are going to be moving forward.
Real quick, can you elaborate a little bit more just for those who are unfamiliar? When you say go where the relative strength is, how do you find that? How do you determine that?
Very simply. So if you track SPY or the Qs or the NDX or the ES, those are your main, drivers to how the overall market is performing. And so if those names are either going sideways or down, and in today's case, down, you want to look for the names, the stocks that are actually going up. So they're basically bucking the overall trend. So if SPY is down 1.5% and the Qs are down 2%, but TTD is up 9% for the day, that's relative strength. That's what I'm looking for. I'm also looking at, relative weakness too. If the market is sideways or the market is going up and Tesla is down 12%, well, that's showing relative weakness. So I'm always looking to see how stocks are performing relative to the overall market, and that's relative to SPY, or for tech, the Qs.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Danny. And I also went ahead and we already have 11 comments. I pinned it inside the space, or maybe I didn't. I don't know. It doesn't show up to me just yet, but it's my last tweet. If you want to drop, I see names already like PayPal, Affirm, METX, really good ones. Definitely want to get to these. Mel, would you like to go next?
Sure. Thank you so much. So, as far as the indices go and money flow, it has been so chaotic. So you kind of had this, as we've been drifting upwards, you've had kind of this roll coming through to where there's been positioning call side, and they continue just to up and out, up and out, up and out. Well, you have that unrolling that needs to be happening to where you're going to have some shifts occur to where they're closing out some positions, opening stuff, getting a little bit more defensive. So we did see a little bit more put activity, but across the board, being able to just hone in on any indices, there wasn't anything that really, the major indices, there wasn't anything that really stuck out as super unusual. On days like this is when we usually start to see it. So you start to see the tape getting a little bit more murky. One thing I will say is that the IWM did have some larger dark pool activity come in after hours. We had 1.31 million shares at 241.15. And while this may not seem like much size, the IWM doesn't see much activity. So that's kind of sticking out to me as something to make note of. Danny did mention the financials. We rarely see activity here, but we did have a little bit of sweeper activity into FAS. That's going to be the 3 times leverage bull for financials, specifically looking at the 1119 153 calls. Otherwise, I do have some names and we'll be talking about some sentiment. Sorry, not sentiment, seasonality that I'm looking at going into the rest of November, and looking at the same thing he is. Where's the relative strength? What held up in red tape? One thing I do want to mention, and I'm going to add this here. I had posted back on 10/27, Tesla had unusual dark pool activity, and it was notable size because we were looking at over $1 billion in money flow. I have a video I'm going to tag on here that I went over and reviewed on YouTube. So that was at that 1049.91. And in that video, I said, mark this on your chart. This is going to be a level that will still come into play later. So we do not know whether dark pool activities are buys or sells, but what they do help us is with building out larger volume by price. We violated that level today. And this is a level I think will still come into play later. But that was definitely big, seeing us come back down and retest that level. So I'll get something posted in spaces on that today. Oh, and Gab, one more side note: we are missing one of our normal speakers, Vegas. It is her birthday today, so she is taking the day off. I just want to make sure that everybody wishes her a very happy birthday. We are missing her tonight, but want to make sure that she is enjoying her day. So sending her some love and birthday wishes.
Much love to Vegas, of course. Hoping she's having fun with a username like that. I imagine she is. I also, since we're on the topic of dark pools, and we have Black Box Stocks here with Mel, which I love the new name, Money Flow Mel, by the way. My major props on that. I also want to give a big shout out to Angie Smith, which is at La La Lovely Trade, who's in the crowd and records these for me, which is so helpful so that I can upload them to the YouTube, to the Spotify, so that people can listen to these, because it doesn't always work if you're in a different time zone, might be the middle of the night. So huge shout out to Angie for everything that she's doing. Also on the Black Box Stocks team. And if you want to check out any of those recordings, brand new today, I finally made like a little link tree thing, and it's inside the Wolf's bio. I gotta probably add it into this one too. But if you go on the Wolf's bio, you can check out the Spotify. You can scroll through it while you're just showing on the space, and you can see all of the past spaces and stuff like that. They're great listens. A lot of them are super applicable, especially that market psychology one we just did. Okay, keeping the ball rolling. Exclusive. Would you like to go next?
Yeah, sure. As always, thanks for having me. These are always really, really helpful, especially for newer traders and even advanced traders. It's always good to hear multiple opinions on market sentiment, dark flow by Mel. I mean, it's all really good information. And definitely, I sent Vegas a happy birthday message, so thanks for letting me know. I had no idea. Um, yeah, no, today was kind of a 50-50 type day. I did a stream this morning, and we were kind of preparing everybody for a pullback, which did occur. Technically, I was looking at it. Let me pull up my chart here. So technically, if I'm looking at SPY right now, so we saw that there was a wedge, an ascending wedge formed that back tested on the 1st of November. And on the 5th, which was last week, we're seeing that it touched the very top of that wedge. And it was also the 1.618 expansion level for the Fibonacci extension levels. And then it pulled back Now, curiously, it did hold the same, I would say, close from the fourth, which was a major pivot I was watching for a reversal. So when I reclaimed that, what's the level here? 466.91. I was feeling a little bit more confident, hoping that it would reclaim that level, which it did, and it closed above. So thank goodness for that. So I'm leaning a little bit more bullish neutral going into tomorrow and the rest of the week. However, like most have said, all across the board, definitely want to proceed with caution when you see 3 red days. It's usually an indication that people are leaning a little bit more bearish than usual. That's not saying that the market's going to tank or anything like that. It's just, you got to be a little bit more defensive than offensive. So I did open a couple of short positions with profits only because you don't want to guess either direction. And most of my swings are going to be risk free just from profits because you don't want to leave your account exposed and you definitely don't want to counter trade sentiment. But like Danny was saying, you want to look for the names with relative strength. And you want to look at names that are outperforming the sectors of the given sectors that those names are in. So in that regard, I was looking at producer manufacturing, names like Applied Materials, General Electric, JCI. You're looking at these daily and you see some outsized moves rather, over 2.5% on some of those kind of names. So that was a sector I'm leaning a little bit more, in addition to retail trade. Something a little bit less talked about, the process industries and consumer durables had some pretty good strength. DHI, LEN, some of these names that were over 3% on the daily as far as strength. So there's definitely names that have strength, that aren't as mentioned widely, I would say, that you can kind of focus on. And I see people focusing on names that, of course, there's a lot of volume, there's a lot of attention on them. That's when you kind of just sit on your hands and just wait for a clear direction. Obviously, there's a lot of people holding Tesla. If you look at the open interest on the option side, of course, there's a lot of people holding contracts weekly. It is only Tuesday, so um, I played the downside today, but I've also got calls risk-free swinging for a bounce if it occurs. So, again, it's just playing defensive and preparing for a move back to the upside if it happens, because we find ourselves in this um, kind of topsy-turvy, it can go either way kind of move. So definitely just kind of look at the volatility, VIX, UVXY, VXX, these, you know, these these names that you want to watch for volatility that kind of lay the narrative out for what could potentially happen throughout the day. If you're not focusing on specific tickers, you want to focus on indices and ETFs and because that's all those names collectively, and then you want to look for the names with relative strength. So, yeah, overall, as far as sentiment goes, I'm going to be leaning bullish neutral going into tomorrow, but I'm prepared for the downside just as I'm prepared for the upside.
Love it, man. So real quick, very fun story with exclusive. So I found out a new feature on Discord this morning. So whenever I've been on Discord on my computer, if I'm in one voice chat and I go to log into another voice chat, it flips me off the other one. So what I did this morning is I was listening to you at like 9 a.m. on your Discord on like the live chat. First, I was listening to you for like 20 minutes working out.
Over the last 10 weeks. So I like to combine that with my trading strategy and say, look, we got an 80% seasonality. We're breaking out of this formation. There's a higher chance that because seasonality at this time of the year, we have a breakout with volume, that this is going to run to that level. And because the seasonality is good, I'm going to get aggressive or offensive and I'm going to let my trade run. Now, when the seasonality dies, it's telling me that there's a possibility that we can either pull back or experience some chop or go lower. So with that being said, I want to protect myself by saying the environment isn't the best currently. So for me, I want to cut out of my trades quicker and I'll be okay with cutting out trades quicker. And I like to tell traders there's always a time to attack the market and hit it hard. And there's a time for you to play defense. And the time to attack the market is when that seasonality was 80 plus for a couple of weeks. And now that we're leaving that, you really want to play defense to protect everything that you just made.
How do you overlay that on TrendSpider?
All right, so if you go to TrendSpider, if you click on any chart, just type on like SPY, and it's the widgets to the right, right? So you have a watch list. Mine's set for watch list alerts, and right under that is seasonality. Now, if you click, there's a little square box at the top right of the widget, right? I don't know, see if you see it. There's like a little square, it's green. You click on that box and it opens up the whole thing.
Cool, cool. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's a fascinating stuff. I hadn't really looked at seasonality beforehand. Definitely we'll dive a little bit more into that. And if anyone's intrigued, I'm sure both Juicy and I have discount codes for Trendspider if anybody would like. With that being said, I brought up a couple other guests, maybe if they want to tune in. Morgan, you got some thoughts on market sentiment? See if she can speak right now.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm like,
You got the New York bug?
what?
I said, do you got the New York bug?
Yeah, I'm like not feeling too good.
I hear you. Hopefully you'll recover with Spy.
Yeah.
All right. I saw you came up. Did you want to give any comments? You're chilling.
Well, I mean, I'm just chilling. I'm just chilling. You requested.
I did. You're all good. You're all good. Hang out. All right,
100%
Sarge.
chip in.
Absolutely. Sarge, I saw your request to come up. Did you have some thoughts?
Hey guys. Just a couple things with the fellow before me just said about playing a little defense here. I think is probably a little smart coming up in about a week or so. I personally am up to 20% cash. I don't expect to go below 20% cash until the last week of the year when I probably start expanding again a little bit. Uh, One thing you guys were talking about the daily moving averages. I personally use the 21-day EMA and the 50-day SMA, and both the Nasdaq Composite and the S&P 500 came into this week at greater than a 4% premium to the 21-day and a 6% premium to the 50-day, which is about as far as either one of them really ever gets before they start to correct. So these last 2 days moderate a little bit. You have the Nasdaq down to about a 2.8% premium to the 21-day and a 5.3% premium to the 50. And the Standard & Poor's is a little better, only a 2.2% premium to the 21 and a 4.5% premium to the 50. So I don't think this little mini reset we're having is over just yet. It may carry into the federal holiday on Thursday, but I think we're in much better shape than we were, say, on Friday night.
Appreciate that. Yeah, that's interesting. 20% cash. I kind of wish I was there. I'm not so close to it. But
Yeah,
with
that's high for a Wall Street guy, 20%. And I expect to stay there for a while.
Okay, so why specifically towards the last weekend of the year? Do you expect kind of the new year ramp up?
Well, our typical, Santa Claus rally that pretty much works, I'd say 70% of the time, pretty much runs the last week of the year into the first few days of the new year, and it does work. I mean, you'll get a good maybe I don't know 1.5% or 2% out of those 5 to 7 trading days usually, and so you probably want to be aggressive at that time in between, say, Christmas Eve and maybe the second trading day of the year.
Got it. Appreciate it. Awesome. Well, thank you, Sarge. And then last but certainly not least, my wonderful co-host who's just been hanging out with us, Evan. Would love to hear your thoughts on what's going on. I know that you've been busy with following earnings, and yeah, would love to hear from you.
Yeah, no, I mean, first of all, I just want to give a quick shout out to you and Wolf and everything like that for putting these amazing spaces on. I always love listening and I love these late night spaces that we get to do on there. And yeah, so I have been focused on earnings. Obviously, it's been an ugly day for most of the earnings that people on FinTwit are going to care about. I'm doing my deep dive into Coinbase right now. I don't want to give too much away, like I don't want to talk too much until I have a full understanding of it and wrap my heads around it. But the quarter was okay. It was mixed. They're talking a lot about the volatility or the lack of volatility, kind of in the for the majority of the quarter, kind of driving down the numbers for the quarter. They did talk about a pickup towards the end, but we'll see really more color on that for next quarter. Overall, the real thing that I was focused on today or watching, besides the news you're looking at, was the move in Tesla. So I would love to maybe get some more thoughts. I know we've had a little bit of talk on that already, but maybe some more thoughts on that, on what people think for the week ahead. I know obviously we had a massive run, and when you're up whatever X huge percentage in a month or two, a small or a relatively small pullback is normal. But I would love to hear maybe if people think this might continue for a little bit longer, if we think we're going to return.
Good stuff, man. Yeah, and I'm sure you'll be writing out your write-up on Coinbase. You're doing a newsletter on that?
Yep, plan to get it out tomorrow before 4 p.m.
You should get the Bullish Rippers account up here.
I'll go and do it right now.
Perfect. Awesome. Okay, now we come to the time of the show where it's time for the hands. We are going to be going through some individual stocks. We're going to be looking back at last week. So I think all my speakers that made any predictions last week, I can pull that up. I'm sure Andrew can pull it up. I'm sure you guys can pull it up and can check back. We'd love to hear some of those follow-ups, and then we'll just go into some picks for the coming week. And yeah, I'm excited for it. Dan, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, absolutely. So, just to talk really quickly about Tesla, I know that was just brought up. So, I've been posting a chart on Tesla for a few weeks now. We had a wave 3 top in early February at 901.75 with an ABC correction for our wave 4. And then we started our wave 5 move right around early July. Caught a 1-2 move off that, and then the break over 729 brought us all the way to about 868. That's what kicked off wave 3 of 5. And so I had a wave 3 going to about 1265. Was that a few days ago? We hit 1250. So I was off by $15. And you can back test this on me. I posted this chart probably about 2 to 3 weeks ago. So I did somewhat time this top 3. And shout out to Juicy with Fibonacci, because this was the 200% extension off the previous swing high, swing low. And so I basically caught the top on that. And so if this was a wave 3 top, then that means we're waiting for a wave 4 triangle to form. So what that tells me, and I was actually just going over this in a mentor session, the last 2 times that Tesla has formed a wave 4 triangle, the major wave 4 triangle took about 2.5 months, and the minor wave 4 triangle in wave 3 took about 6 to 7 weeks. So unless something crazy happens where Tesla just does this miraculous turnaround and goes back higher and breaks all-time highs, I'm thinking that Tesla is probably going to be in somewhat of a consolidation range. It's very likely if we don't gap below 1,000, we'll test 1,000 tomorrow. I think it'll be important for that, to see where that kind of lies. But the one thing I did note is if we do lose 1,000, I'm almost certain we'll test about 918, 920. I think that could potentially be a wave 4 bottom. But of course, these things you can't tell them until they happen. We can come down as low as 750 and still have a wave 4 bottom. So that's really what I'm looking for on Tesla. I think the big move is done for now, but I did say wave 4, which means after wave 4 is wave 5. And I do have our wave 5 somewhere around, and I guess this will also depend on when wave 4 bottoms, but wave 5 could potentially be somewhere between 15 and 1700. And again, don't know when that's going to happen until timing happens with the bottom of wave 4. But that's pretty much Tesla. The 3 stocks that I want to talk about today, I did have them posted. The first one is Big C. So Big C had a really nice move over the last 4 days, came right to the top of its triangle. And we had an entry over 60, just over $60 today, and we closed at 62.25. So a couple of things: peekaboo candle breakout today. We did get that close over the 200 daily SMA. We are also over our swing high anchored VWAP, or excuse me, we are coming up to our swing high anchored VWAP, which is also right at the 236 Fibonacci retracement at $70.57. There was no notable flow or dark pool, but they did get a maintain from Barclays today with a raised price target of $67. And it's still a relatively new stock. I think it IPO'd late, or maybe around September of 2020. So seasonality doesn't really come into play, but definitely shout out to Juicy about talking about seasonality. It's something that I really look at a lot. And that's going to bring us to our second ticker. So for this one, I had a really funny moment today with Mel on Black Box, because as I was charting out Okta and as I was ready to post it, she calls out Okta over live voice, and I just start laughing to myself. I post the chart into the room, and I'm like, oh, great minds think alike. Because Okta, Okta is a stock that I've been in for a long time. What Okta does is they do identity management. So you probably, if you work for a corporate company or a big company that has some sort of virtual logon, it's very likely you're using Okta, and you may not even know you're using Okta, because they manage the identity for your login to that network. And so they're the onboarding and offboarding into those networks. But anyway, great company. I really love this company. They just broke out of their symmetrical wedge. They've been in a consolidation range pretty much all year. RSI broke out today. They have a daily and weekly TTM squeeze setting up. They had $720,000 in call sweeps today for the 121,270 calls, and earnings is on December 1st. So I'm still thinking probably an earnings run on this. I think once we cross over 276, we'll likely see a run up to 300. That's very near its all-time high. And the last one I'll talk about is a stock that I've been talking about for quite some time now. Again, check the history on my charts. I've been tracking this massive inverse head and shoulders on TTD. That's the trade desk. Another really, really, really good company that you had them pre-split, sold too early. They went up to 1,000. Now they split again. They went back down to, I think, 45 at the low, and now they're right back at 100. It just shows you how strong this stock is. So you got to keep an eye on TTD. It's always good to have a position at any time in TTD. This is a big, big company. They had a 2-day breakout so far over their inverse head and shoulders. Their measured move. So what you do on a head and shoulders is you measure the bottom of the head up to the neckline. That's your measured move. And so on a measured move, you pull that line to the breakout, and that's what you're measuring the potential move of this breakout to be. So the measured move on this is 165. So we're right at $96. That's a massive move to the upside. It's not going to happen right away, but that can happen in time. Call flow was massive today. A lot of 100Cs in for this week and next week. And there was multiple analysts maintaining and upgrading the stock with raised price targets from anywhere from $90 to $120. So those are the three really strong relative strength stocks that I was watching today that I'm really excited about, not only from a technical standpoint, but also from a fundamental standpoint. And just, I love the companies and I know a lot about them. So those are the three. I'll post charts at the top of the chat here, so you guys can check it out. But I've also posted it into Gav's thread as well. So let me know if you have any questions on those three.
Love it, Danny. Definitely please post those up. And clearly an expert in what you are doing. I want to go over real quick for the audience just a few terms, because I've gotten this a couple times, and definitely go back and listen. I've asked Danny to go in full depth on some of these terms, and Mel and others. But just for anyone that's in the audience that's listening, if you're unfamiliar with some of the terminology, just a few key points. When we talk about anchored VWAP, we're talking about the anchored volume weighted average price. And what we're looking at is volume weighted average price is the average price that people are holding a stock at, and you can anchor it. So you can go back to IPO and you could say, from the date of IPO till today, what's the average price? So stock's trading at 100. I could see the price is 90, and then I can decide if that's support or resistance, something along those lines. And we can anchor it at different points, highs, lows, but that is the anchored VWAP when we say that. RSI, Relative Strength Index, not a super expert in it, but essentially it'll show you sometimes if a stock is overbought or oversold. It's pretty simplistic once you look at it. Even Robinhood shows it, which they showed along with MACD. And then dark pools, which we've also hinted at. So those are part of option flow essentially. And in the option flow that we've talked about, call flow or puts, things like that, we definitely use those a lot. Those we get from different services like Black Box Stocks or Quant Data or Unusual Whales. And from those services, we can see the institutional investors that are placing millions of dollars of trades. We can look for, is somebody trying to get in quick here? They're trying to throw a big amount of money, and that kind of will tip us off. And then within that, you can sometimes see the dark pools, which is we don't know which way it's going, bullish or bearish, but it's a massive trade. And then we can kind of use it again as support or resistance. And then last one I'll touch on is just Fibonacci, which is a retracement pattern. And he also, I think, mentioned Elliott wave. So those are just a few different terminologies, which I think will be helpful to someone who might not have heard that before. So with that being said, I want to keep it rolling, and I'm going to you, Andrew, and then over to Mel.
Yeah, in terms of the Tesla situation, yeah, it's pretty crazy. The chart looks like a train wreck, but yeah, the basically what happened was Elon Musk. It was pretty much like the call buyers were in full control. So when that stock is moving, it's really just call premium that's being thrown at this thing. Like I was looking at the dollar volumes every day, and we saw there was one day where there was literally over like $12 billion of Tesla call volume that was spent. Elon Musk basically threw a wrench in the whole the entire thing when, he posted on Twitter, hey guys, do you think I should sell 10% of my stock position? And yeah, according to the Twitter poll, they said yes. So yeah, once that news came out, that really just put a damper on the rally. And that's kind of how it works when you have these gamma squeezes. Like the squeeze can really continue so long as there's no negative catalyst. We just got that negative catalyst that basically caught a lot of those short-term call buyers off guard, and then the stock really just broke. So yeah, similar to what Danny was saying, I have an alert set for Tesla. If the stock fills the gap from when it first started its advance, I believe it's in the neighborhood of like $910, $920. I have an alert set there, and I will definitely scalp Tesla at the very least to the long side if we get that gap fill. But yeah, other than that, yeah, that's pretty much my take on Tesla. Some stocks that I am watching. So my setup for this week is a short S&P 500 trade. Like I don't really have like a ton of long setups just because like with my strategy and my process, um, pretty much like heading into tomorrow's session, like I'm not really in the market to be purchasing stocks. One thing I posted this a little bit earlier in the room. Right now we're trading down to a key level. And let me just share this right here. There we go. Yeah, so we're trading down to the weekly value area high in the S&P 500. It's a market profile level. A lot of times these levels, you'll retest it a couple of times, but then if you get a break of that level, then there's some buyers that go underwater. So if we break that level, I think that's a pretty good risk reward short opportunity there. So I'll be looking for that tomorrow. Like to be honest, that's going to be like the main opportunity that I'm scouting for, just to see if I can scalp a small short position. Whenever I go short, I always make sure to just not size big because shorting anything is, a lot lower probability endeavor than going to the long side. So if I go short, it's never really to make a killing. It's really just to like, participate in the downside move. So yeah, I'm looking for that short trade on the S&P 500 tomorrow. And then some stocks that I'm watching. So, say if we do get this pullback into the 20-day moving average, it gives everyone a great opportunity to reload on some of these stocks that they may have missed on the first advance. So Enphase in particular, this is the solar name. I think I mentioned this like 2 calls ago that I put a position on. Enphase, I'm still long the stock. It's had a beautiful run here since it reported earnings. And now we're finally seeing some consolidation and it's becoming a little bit less overbought. So I have alerts set for that one as well, where, hey, if the market pulls back a little bit, if we can get a pullback to the 10-day EMA for Enphase or, the anchored VWAP from the earnings report, I would definitely be looking to load up on more Enphase. And then Roblox as well. So Roblox, it is the leading metaverse company. And I've gone so deep on Roblox. The CEO, Dave Baszucki, I absolutely love him. He's my favorite CEO out of every single publicly traded company I know of. And this guy, he has this very pure vision for the metaverse. And he's been at this for maybe 10 years. And I pretty much watched like every interview this guy's ever done for like the past decade, just to see like how has this guy's story changed over time. And yeah, he's got a really good vision. Like all the incentives within Roblox are pretty pure. I really like it. And like I listened to the earnings report this morning, and the company's just throwing off so much cash. It's really tough to get long this thing after like a 40% day. But this is another one where if the market shows some weakness, and say Roblox, sells off, we get, the opportunity to buy the dip. That's another one that I'm really focused on.
I love that. That's crazy that you've watched all of that. This is real due diligence, like in the witnessing, to be honest. When people go ahead and they actually dig into the company for sure, the governance of the company, and that's when you know that, like, okay, if they're doing that, like they definitely have everything else down pat. They've really gone behind the scenes. Love it, Andrew. And you're getting me bullish on Roblox. I gotta look back at it. So you said you were looking for a pullback on Roblox, or I know you were talking about the other one first, but any thoughts on Roblox where you would look for an entry?
Yeah, so with Roblox, I would set up an anchored VWAP. Like I would do that right now if you have TrendSpider, or even TradingView, you can do it as well. If you can set that anchored VWAP to today, any chance you get a tag of that VWAP, I think that's an awesome spot. Or even like setting up a 5-day EMA or 10-day EMA. I think that would give you a really good shot. Because like what's so cool about Roblox, this is why I think the company's so cool. So like if you have a video game company, let's say it's like Activision Blizzard, whatever it might be, they're making video games from the top down. It's like management comes up with an idea, they feed it down to developers, it goes through the whole corporate, process, blah blah blah. Like I've been in the corporate world, it's super slow. What's cool about Roblox is everything is a grassroots effort. It's very similar to Twitter, where you have content creators that are putting out content and getting people engaged, or YouTube, where you have people making videos, getting people engaged. With Roblox, you have users that are creating the experiences. And people can make, like, if you're a really good developer on Roblox, you can make a career out of just developing on Roblox. And they just keep, they keep expanding it. So, like, it's a really cool company. And it's definitely one that, like, I just stuck it in an IRA. I was like, I just want to hold on to this thing and just kind of let it go for a while.
Got you. Cool. I'm definitely looking into that more. And yeah, I just went ahead and anchored from the IPO. So I definitely see exactly where that is.
Did we lose Gav?
Yeah, I can't hear him either.
Okay. I think I had my hand raised next, so while he's trying to
Go for it.
reconnect, is
So
it
just
okay
before
to
you do,
jump?
there is a chance that it's happened before. He was saying that the spaces might cancel or might go down. If it does, we're gonna go right back up. I'm gonna host it, and then he'll come in and just when he can talk, he'll go back to moderating and everything. For now, you can
Can you
go,
hear
Mel.
me?
Yeah, we hear
Perfect.
you now.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
All right.
You
Can you
gotta
hear me?
ditch the Walmart internet, man.
Yes,
Yeah,
Gav.
it's a little terrible, but yeah, the space is about to crash. This happens beforehand. I'm on the other phone, so if you see this crash, Stock Market News will open a space and we'll go to there. But for now, Mel, if you want to take it over, we'll see how long it stays open.
Awesome. All right. So that means make sure you are following Stock Market News, make sure you're following Wolf, make sure you're following Gav. So if we do accidentally lose this one, we can get right back up. And of course, they are our gracious hosts. So why wouldn't you already be following them? So let's jump right in. So surprised to see as many talking about seasonality. That was definitely something I've got like 3 pages of notes on, and it's something that is in my arsenal. So wanted to just jump right in. I'm kind of on, look, um, most important as a trader is that you know your own personal style. We all have individual trading styles on here where some of us may be more swing oriented, and that's where a lot of our discussion is focused. We also have others that are very much intraday and scalp oriented, and to individually know your own style is going to be absolutely the most important. So as we have conversations back and forth, some of us may be looking at it through different eyes. But I'm kind of a little here with exclusive when he mentioned that there are pockets of strength. I know Danny mentioned that as well. We're looking at areas where there Our stock's still holding up. XLB
Into the gritty.
I know. So I gotta get a tweet out or something. There we go. I see we got Gav up here now.
Oh shoot, I'm one of the people now following you. Whoops.
Well,
There you go.
yeah, well, I think it's something's going on with my account because that is the third one today.
Damn, how many have you done today? Is that all of them?
Yep. What? 3 for 3, like Jordan. Yeah, 100% fail rate currently.
So we got Andrew back as well now. We're slowly getting everyone back. You should DM Mel. She was literally in the middle of it, like exclusive
Yeah,
sales.
yeah,
She
she'll
just
join.
get to the
She'll
good
join.
part. Gav, are you still here? Oh no, did he already drop off?
I don't know. I sent
No,
Mel
I'm
an
here.
invite.
I'm here.
Okay, cool. Just
I
making
was
sure.
just
Oh, we got Mel
yeah,
back too.
yeah, I was just doing the other account.
All right, cool. I think we got everyone else back in.
Perfect.
There she is.
Okay.
All yours.
Awesome. Okay. Sorry about that, Mel. That is the third one of mine that has gone out today. I messaged Spaces because they haven't done anything. My theory is now that the Wolf main account is in the Spark program, they don't want me to host Spaces from any other account, so they're just fucking with me. But who knows? Mel, the floor is yours.
All good, all good. I've got a few reaching out trying to get back on. So hopefully we get everybody back on. So I'm going to just jump right in. So we were in a lot of the discussion tonight, which I think is amazing, has been about seasonality. So it shows not only are we using our technicals or money flow or anything else, we're kind of looking at everything full spectrum. And I think that's extremely important. So if that's not something that you've integrated into your arsenal, I think that's extremely important. The last thing that you want to do is to be long a sector or an industry grouping that has relatively poor performance during the time you're trying to get long. So definitely worth checking out. But a few that I wanted to jump on. So just kind of mentioning that I think there are still going to be some pockets of opportunities as traders. It is extremely important as you're navigating through all of the information and all of the opportunities that are available on Twitter, that you're assessing your own personal trading style. The person you may be following or information be shared from is from somebody that may be looking at things through different eyes. So first and foremost, who are you as a trader is absolutely number one. If I'm looking at something that's a little bit longer term and you are a scalper, we're not going to have the same vision. We're not going to be looking at that chart the same way. So super, super important. And I think that's where especially newer traders on Twitter get a little bit lost, because there is so much information. There are absolutely so many on this panel. I suggest following every one of them that give so much and want to share so much to help, but you need to make sure you understand yourself as a trader, first off. Second off, going to jump into some names. So, Danny, man, you killed it. Love hearing you speak. You just hit everything so eloquently with so much detail, and just can't get enough of you. So love having you on the mic. Okta. So he had mentioned that this was something that we both kind of at the same time like just went, oh, got to talk about this one. So this has had some absolute consolidation this whole year. It's been in this wedge, like triangle, all year. We're holding above larger dark pool activity. They do have ER on 12.1. Seasonality the last 5 years, so not one that has much to be able to base off of. You have October at 60%, and then you go up to 100% in November. A little activity into the 1217 calls. Danny mentioned that, but interestingly enough, 7 seconds before the close, we had smaller flow come into the 1119 280 calls. So we may be seeing a little more upside come into Okta. We did lose the charts that I had previously shared. So once I'm off the mic, I'll go back and reshare those so you guys have a point of reference. But do want to also mention Jets. This was something exclusive, and I believe Vegas was also talking about on the last Twitter Spaces, the upside potential that we had with some really good setups last week going into some of the airliners. They have made some great moves. Tonight we had 1.4 million dark pool shares at 24.54. Average volume there is 6.5 million, so that is some substantial notable volume. We are right at a strong level of support and resistance at 25 psychological whole number. Just as a heads up, you do have AAL at an event tomorrow on 11/10 at the Baird Global Industrial Conference. But I think this is still a space where we have the potential for some continuation. So again, this is going to be in that different sector that we're not talking about the stock, or tech stocks. We're not talking about stuff that has been overextended, that have made these runs. So we're looking at areas where there are potential for other opportunities. Another sector I'm really hot on right now is the DJUSRU. That's going to be the restaurant and bars. That's an industry. We've had a breakout there. Over the last 10 years, you have 90% seasonality in November for that space. A few that I think are worth mentioning, going to start with your blue chips, McDonald's. 90% seasonality in November, we are in blue skies territory. We had some banging flow come through today into the 1217 260 calls. So a bit out of the money there, but we did have size with 1.23 million money flow behind that. That was almost 7,300 contracts. But few other names that are worth noting. Texas Roadhouse, November has 100% seasonality. We had a be right back setup, a BRB. We broke the downtrend line on the daily, came back and tested it, and we're now
Did it cut out for you too?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
she's
going
out.
in and out.
Okay. I wasn't sure if it was just me again. She was talking about Texas Roadhouse though. Maybe she'll be back in just a second. I was just looking at that in the meantime. So that is Texas Roadhouse was ticker TX. What was that? TXN? Oh no. Why am I missing out on it? Texas Roadhouse TXRH. And I wonder what she was talking about there. It looks like she might have to reconnect. So in the meantime, while we're waiting on Mel, Mel, are you there? Okay, she might just be reconnecting for a second. While Mel's reconnecting, especially since stock market is up here, this feels like a great time to just talk for a minute about the Spaces calendar. Something that if you're not on already would be a great time to hop on. So essentially, it's very difficult to keep track of Twitter Spaces, and there's so many happening, at least 10 a week if you are on my timeline. And because of that, I've gone ahead and put together a full calendar. It's a Google Calendar. It's free. Your information isn't shared. And there are now over 650 people that are subscribed to it. All you have to do to get on it is just DM me your email, And while you're at it, if you want to be on my newsletter or Stock Market News' newsletter, because glory to him, he has come in clutch and hosted this space, just let me know in the comments. We don't spam people and it's free. Everything that we are talking about is free. And yeah, so that is just something that I wanted to mention with the newsletters as well as the calendar. Evan, anything you wanted to add to that before we go back to Mel?
Yeah, just two things. One, you could DM either, any of the accounts that is the host, the co-host, so myself, Wolf, or Gav, if you want to be added to that. And just when you do send it over, just make sure you include your email with it, just so we can get you added as quick as possible. But yeah, I appreciate that, and I'll pass it back to you, Gav.
Perfect. Mel, are you back with us?
I am. I apologize. I had a phone call and that kind of kicked me off. I'm not sure really where I left at.
You were talking about Texas Roadhouse.
Yes. Okay. So let's talk about Texas Roadhouse. So as we look at the bars and restaurant sector, this one is definitely one I think that needs to be on your watch list. 100% seasonality into November. We did break a down trend line. We had that BRB break, retest, and we're bouncing off of that level. We are also um, bouncing off of the resistance at the swing high anchored volume VWAP, but we are holding support at the year to date anchored volume VWAP. Interesting to note that we had some flow. So this is going to be hesitant to mention this, but they are still in. So I do think it is worth noting. Back on 1029, if you take a closer look at that chart, and like I said, sorry guys, I will get the charts posted as soon as I'm done speaking. I had them loaded in the other spaces, but 1029, we had 5.7 million come into the 318 20 to $95 calls. They are still there. So originally they came in paying 710. Those contracts are now going 740 by 850. But if you look at that chart, you can see where big money flow came in and pretty much called that reversal. Otherwise, I still think we have great potential for CMG. This is one that I mentioned on last and Tuesday's spaces. We haven't really made much of a move. We do, again, have strong seasonality in November, 80%. We've got the falling wedge with a BRB pattern, broke out, came back, retested, holding that level and looking for a bounce. And BLMN, this is going to be Blooming Brands. Very large dark pool activity. If you take a look at this chart, you'll see that we've had the largest volume that we have seen this whole year coming in recently. We've had some large dark pool activity coming in, which is really unusual because this one does not trade that kind of size. I'll get a chart in here posted. This one also has 90% seasonality. Not seeing the options flow come in yet, but I did go ahead and take a starter position into some contracts out to December. I really like this setup. You also have a very low volume node. And what that is going to be in between your volume profile. So when you have a volume shelf that's going to build out and act as support, and you have another larger shelf up above, you don't have the commitment of traders in between. You have a very low volume node that allows price to move very quickly or either reject back down. But once you make a move through, it tends to be a quicker move because you don't have a lot of traders committed at those prices. They're either below or above. So definitely interesting to look at that. But that's going to wrap it up for me. So I appreciate you guys being patient and so sorry that I dropped off.
No problem at all. And thank you for coming on. And that's really interesting. I'm really learning a lot about seasonality tonight, to be honest. Some stuff that I just did not know. Love coming on these calls. Obviously, for anyone that's listening, pretty early on in my trading career, just really excited to be able to be around people like these who have decades of experience and, so much knowledge that they're willing to share with us for free. So I hope y'all are enjoying it just as much as me. With that being said, exclusive, I think you are the final main speaker to go around, and then maybe we'll hit on a couple things from the crowd.
Yeah, for sure. Just to kind of piggyback off of what Mel was saying, yeah, I wasn't even particularly watching Chipotle last week until you brought it up, and so inevitably I had to go look at it and had to chart it, and I haven't played it since they had earnings in July, so I've been kind of picking my moment here, and I think we finally caught it right on the. So it looks like it held the expansion golden pocket. um, last week and this week. And curiously enough, it's tested the golden pocket Friday, yesterday, and today. So 1816.59 is the base, and 1823.58 would be confirmation. And then we might get a move to the 50-day moving average around the 1840 to 1845 area. So I'm going to be looking for that confirmation. I don't think I'll get in until that breaks and holds, just because Chipotle is one of those stocks that, the volume is relatively low in general. I'm talking the option side, of course, but it's definitely more in my interest to kind of wait. But we do have an RSI that's begging to go up. We have a MACD cross for the past 4 days, and now we're coming up on some EMA. The 8 and 21 EMA daily are looking to converge here soon. So we've got some reasons to turn bullish on it. So I'm probably I might start a swing probably a few weeks or maybe a month out, just in case, because, with the market sentiment right now in general, it's kind of at that area where it could go either way. So I'm definitely going to be watching that one for sure. To update the positions from last week, I think Mel already discussed Jets. We saw a 10.25% return from the open on Tuesday on the underlying, so that was a good win. I know Nvidia and AMD were my two main focuses. Obviously, Nvidia just kept on going and going. We moved from 258 to 323 for a 25% move in the underlying. I've been rolling up options like a crazy madman, so definitely been getting paid on that, as well as members and people on Twitter. I can't remember if I talked about Volta on Monday or if that was on Friday, but I know that one had a decent move, about 33%. I don't know which point I brought it up to you, Wolf, but I know that was another win. And I don't really particularly focus on those names, but since you called me out, I had to do one. But in relation to the travel and leisure, I know Expedia was another winner, and American Airlines, as Mel was discussing too, that one had a nice move over 13.5% on the underlying. So, there was a lot of winners from the call last week, not just from me, but from a lot of people on the panel. So kudos to them too for those call outs. And I think one that was a little bit less mentioned was 3D. And, that one had a good run up, and then it just kind of fell off as far as volume and everything. So I think over 11.5% on the underlying was, or 11.62% on the underlying was the peak from the entry on Tuesday at the open. So that's another one that was really good. What I'm looking for the rest of the week, right now I have some decent size in, let me pull up my broker, shouldn't have closed it. So right now I have decent size in Amazon. That was one of the names I talked about this morning, and I was swinging from last week. So those 35-55 calls that were swung, as well as the 3600 calls, both paid. I scalped the 35-55s in the morning. Those ran up close to 300%. So really pleased with Amazon. I'm currently in 3700 calls weekly, just as a risk-free lotto, not expecting it to go there. More of a run-up play into the Rivian IPO was what I was targeting more than anything. And we also had swings for Roblox. I think I did a space with Drippy where we were talking about Roblox 2 weeks ago, and I'm still holding my November monthly and December monthly swings, which I rolled up to the 110 calls for next week, and it looks like I'm going to have to roll those up again. Only using profits again. I'm not going to overexpose my account, but I will use profits made to make a profitable trade that can potentially make more money. But yeah, Roblox is, it might get a pullback because it is a little extended, but I think there's a lot of reasons to remain bullish on it, but of course, profit taking will occur. So just be careful entering in that. And I always like to wait for a 20 to 15% pullback on premium option side before I make an entry, because you always have that really, really volatile open. So that's probably going to be my entry on that. If Bitcoin can kind of hold where it's at, I notice it's still above that pivot from last month, the 67016 pivot. It's currently holding above it. So, the VWAP is right. I think it's about 80 points above it. So it's holding that level now, so I'm gonna keep my focus on some of those crypto-related names. And coin was just a disaster as far as the reaction goes. So, that's one that I'm in, but I don't really think I'm going to be adding to it unless it has a huge turnaround, which, some of these earning lottos, you never really want to go in with true capital, just profits, because they're kind of a crapshoot at this point with the market the way it is. You have companies that rocket on terrible earnings, and you have companies that exceed expectations that just craters. So it's kind of weird to see, but that's the influx of cash that's in the market right now. So, yeah, I'm looking for. In addition to that, if I'm focusing on a sector, you kind of see a mirror image on a lot of these indices. I'm looking at Qs, Nasdaq, the IWM, and the SPY. They all kind of have that same curl off the top side, but they're all within this mid-range that you could possibly see either a bounce back to the upside or a move back to the previous week lows. So, with SPY particularly, I'm noticing on the weekly, you're starting to see the MACD pull to the upside. So depending on how the week closes, I'm going to keep on focusing on bullish momentum. However, if that starts to pull down, then I'm going to, of course, play a little bit more defensive and reduce exposure and, increase cash and just kind of be ready for both directions. But yeah, those are the names I'm more leaning towards. But oh, and of course, TTD, that was another one, and I think Danny already went over that one, but that's a good one too.
Love it. Two quick follow-up questions. So one is, you mentioned the crypto, and someone pointed this out to me a little bit earlier today. So we're watching, Bitcoin and Ethereum, and I think one of the closest mirrors to those is often Litecoin, pretty high beta. And when you look at the Litecoin chart, it's interesting, and it's not quite back to, its all-time highs, kind of a couple, or is it? Well, I guess if what was I looking at? Oh, the 1 year, exactly. Yeah, so it's not quite back to those all-time highs, which were closer to 400 versus the 260 that it's at now. And yeah, I mean, could there be a Litecoin? It's having a little run here, but could it do something to mirror the others? And then the other question I had was just thoughts in general on the semiconductor, industry overall here, because I know you've been in and out of it. Did I get cut off there?
No, we still hear you.
Oh, I didn't have my.
Okay, cool.
I was talking to myself. Yeah, so no, with Litecoin, you do see that sympathy with Bitcoin, and there's curiously enough, it's sitting right above the 50% retrace on the Fibonacci, the zero point 0.5 level, which is 258.90. I think as long as we hold that daily, I'm on these kind of names, I'm not really looking at them shorter term on the time frames chart wise. You're going to want to look at, because you have to think about crypto. They they really respect technicals. I think more than common stock, more than anything. Crypto is really, 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 really strong relation to technicals. So whenever I do trade, Ethereum, Bitcoin, Litecoin, I'm not really big on any other cryptos. I'll trade them, but I'm not really a big advocate for them. But as long as we can hold that level, over the coming days, you saw a pickup in volume the past 3 days, of course, with Bitcoin. So there's no reason to um, kind of expect a major pullback as long as Bitcoin holds. However, some things to focus on are the RSI levels. It is sitting at 75, which isn't really a cautionary level, but it is curling down. So you do have to kind of pay attention to it versus just leaving it and checking on it every couple hours or maybe even a couple days. But if it can hold above that zero point 0.5 retrace, then I would expect the move closer to the 290s over the next couple of weeks or months. And what was the other thing you were following up with?
Semiconductors.
Yeah, so as far as let me pull up my chart here. So as far as the SMH, let me see here. So yeah, looking at this chart, you kind of have to almost expect the pullback that it had, especially with the other markets and indices. But you almost have to be ready for these pullbacks when you see, you know, a really, really big gap on the MACD and RSI is really extended over 80. So, it was kind of more of a situation where, I scaled out most of my NVIDIA and AMD swings and scaled back to where I'm only risking profits and my original invested capital, which most of them is already profit anyways, but I'm leaving those on the table and I'm scaling out for most of my position and just preparation because you see, the EMA, the ADMA is at 290.69 and the 21 is at 278.68. Are we going to have a major pullback to those levels? I don't think so, but do you have to have caution and really focus on what the market's doing and what the sentiment is leaning towards? Absolutely. But, I don't really see a major reason to be fearful of a major pullback just yet. And of course, like I was saying earlier, I'm going to rotate into sectors and indices that are performing, similar to what I did today. I think I had very few SMH plays. I think I also traded AMD today, but of course that was just a quick scalp. Of course we opened, moved up, and then pulled back. So yeah, it's just playing them intraday. Swings are only with profit, and yeah, just protect what you earn, and you don't go broke taking profit.
Definitely not. Awesome. Real quick, glad we made it back to 400 people in the audience. That's awesome to see. If you joined us, if you're especially if you're coming from another space, make sure you're following Stock Market News. Real savior tonight, popping open, hosting this space right off the bat. Really, really good follow as well. Amazing content throughout the day. Incredibly active on Twitter. So really, if you scroll through his timeline even today during earnings, it's invaluable. You get the information fast, free, quick. Really can't go wrong. So make sure that you're following him. And Evan, I just wanted to go to you before perhaps we go to any other individual stocks. Was there any others that were on your radar, perhaps with earnings, where I know you're a long-term investor, but anything maybe you'd want to take an entry into?
Well, I mean, we could talk about some of the stocks that report earnings tomorrow. There's not too many big ones before the bell. Wendy's was the one, a little bit meme, a little bit FinTwit culture. That one, maybe we could talk about a little bit. Reports before the bell, and then I know Disney is the big one after the markets close. So maybe that as well.
Yeah, whatever you want to touch on. Oh, and also I see Gerg. Gerg, get back up here so you can chat.
Oh, so we were talking a little bit of trade of the week for Disney that I think it could be a decent possibility. We were talking around earnings that Disney doesn't move much,
Yo,
but
what's up?
maybe. Gerg,
Your
what's up, man?
spaces suck tonight. They keep on kicking me out from my own space.
Wait,
Yeah,
did
dude,
they kick you out,
mine
Jeff?
crashed. Mine crashed 3 times today.
Like mine first time it kicked me out. I came back up. It worked. Second time it kicked me out. Crashed my phone too. Like it's back to the June July days. So
Yeah, yeah. This is for anybody who was on Space's first couple of months. This is like deja vu.
yeah, this was every single day, 10 times a day.
All right. Well, seems like Evan is keeping steady, but
Wait,
yeah. Do you want
Gerg,
to?
listen. Twitter didn't pick me for the Spark program. I'm down. You want to go short to Twitter for a little?
Yeah, let's go. Let's go short Twitter.
I'm down to see how it goes.
Yeah, but no one seems to be liking the Twitter feature.
The undo thing, like people are talking about it as an edit button.
I mean, the
To
weird
me, it's
thing
not.
is they launched this back in June.
Do you know the one thing though, the article feature and the ad free stuff, that's actually pretty cool, and that's worth $3 a month itself, honestly. They should lean on that. That's the really only feature that I saw in
No,
that
I
that's
think if
valuable.
they allow you to delete your tweets, undo your tweets, or change the spelling, I would pay $100 a month easily.
Have you seen
That-
my tweets? Whew, I need it.
Me too. I think they should add that. Even if they charge $10, a lot of people will buy it then. Because right now you can live without that, right? But when you tweet so much, you will have some mistakes. So if you can pay to correct them, I think a lot of people will pay up. Even
Yeah,
if you double the fees or triple the fees, like $15, $10 a month, people will pay that.
my problem with
Uh,
the undo thing is like we'll get into it. Sorry, but just with the undo thing is like my big problem is like a lot of the times I'm getting 5, 6, and getting tweets out quick, and I don't have time to wait for an undo thing. It just kind of does nothing for me, really.
Yeah,
And then I can just
like
delete
with
my
with
tweets and
this,
reread it
right?
for free.
So right now I've been using this for like 3 4 months. The only thing the 2W does is it delays your tweets. That's kind of annoying too because you want your tweets to be out right away. So you can't undo them, but they give you a timeline, like 15 to 20 seconds. You can read through that before it goes live. So
Good. While we're here, we're talking. I know we want to get back into it. Let's use this as a start into it. I was talking a little bit about Disney. Maybe before. I know you talked earlier that Disney doesn't move
yeah,
too
so
much event
Disney
earnings. What do you
last
think
8
this plus
earnings,
the
the
last one?
average move was 2%. So not
What do you
worth
think of plus
speculate.
the Disney Prime Day or whatever at the end? Do you think that could be enough for a little bit of a swing trade in there?
No, I mean it shouldn't affect that, right? Because that went into effect last week or this week, and the earnings is a month before that. So that even, I mean, that might impact the guidance for the next year, next quarter. But the earnings they should move, right? Because it was this week, not the previous 3 months. But they did close down the Shanghai Disney World due to COVID outbreak. So they might reduce guidance because of that. And I'm still not sure did they open it up and how much did they have to pay people because they had to kick everyone out.
I did think I see they opened it up.
They did? Okay.
Yeah, I think that. So I didn't see anything else.
Yeah, for 3 or 4 days then, yeah. Shouldn't affect them a lot. But even the AMC one, right? They want to release a couple old movies in AMC theaters. So that might be a good thing too. But again, they won't make a lot of money off that. But for tomorrow, I would watch AFRM or Farm.
I'm always watching a firm.
Yeah,
They report earnings tomorrow.
did you buy in? I told you about the position.
I saw what you did with the spread. I did not do it, but props to you for having big balls and doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I did sell my puts to that. They were off 70%, 70, 75, but I still have my calls. And the firm was down 7% after hours, so I think I might just break even. But if I have sold it today, right before close, I would be up 80%. But I got too greedy, so
Yeah, I guess, yeah, well, better, a little bit of profit or break even than the loss.
yeah,
But yeah, it was
yeah.
cool stuff. Evan, any other ones that you wanted to go over?
Nah, I do see we do have Stock Talk Weekly up here now, so I would love to maybe see if he has anything he's watching.
Watching with regard to what, just like stocks that I'm watching?
Yeah, so we're just chatting over like basically stocks that are on our radar for the rest of the week.
Yeah, for me, RDW was a big one. Unfortunately, they delayed their earnings, so who knows what that's about?
Yeah, did they
Hopefully,
say anything
just
about
either
that?
Usually that's
no,
pretty bad if
they
these
don't usually
delay in earnings.
they don't comment on it usually when that happens, but typically it's either an accounting issue, which I hope it's not, and if it is, I hope it's a minor one, or something related to M&A or news that they want to release. Um, I mean, their MO as a company really is M&A, so I think there's a potential of it being that. Obviously, on the flip side, it could be negative and end up being an accounting issue or, compliance issue or SEC commentary. Those are all things that could be bad. I expect, obviously, the stock will probably sell off tomorrow now that they delayed it, um, largely because of the notice that they gave. I mean, they announced that earnings were going to be tomorrow. They announced it on the 4th. So it's just odd that, now they would be like, hey, the night before, we're delaying earnings. So I haven't seen it in a while for any stocks that I've been in. So obviously it's kind of annoying for me because I have a ton of exposure to the stock. Obviously, my equity cost basis, thankfully, is low enough that even if it does go down, 7-8% tomorrow, I'll still be fine. But not what I wanted to see, obviously. So that was something I was looking for tomorrow morning. I was going to host a space just about that earnings, actually, but I guess I'll have to delay that one. But other than that, I'm looking probably tomorrow at Rivian. I'm not going to enter the IPO. I typically don't buy IPOs, but I'll be watching it. I'll be looking, I always sympathy trade. So I'll be looking for some sympathy day trades off of it. If the IPO tanks, I think it'll probably drive the rest of the sector down with it. especially considering the run that some of these stocks have been on over the last few weeks. So I'll be looking to play puts on some positions if the IPO tanks, and if the IPO explodes. I mean, if it goes from like 78 to 100 plus tomorrow, I'll be looking to sympathy trade
This
some
will
runners.
open above $90 easily because 78
Yeah,
is
but I mean, if it
price.
opens above $90 and flushes down below the base IPO price, I mean, that won't matter. I'm just saying, like, if it rallies tomorrow all day long, I'll be looking for sympathy trades on the upside. If it tanks tomorrow off the open, then I will look for puts to play the downside on some of these overextended EV names. But yeah, I'm going to be just looking for that as a sympathy trading opportunity. I'm also watching Disney. I'm also going to be watching obviously RDW to see if it gets, if it gets anywhere close to like $10 flat, I'll probably be buying more. Although I do want to know what this delay is about, but yeah, that's what I'm watching for tomorrow. And then I'm also watching these Bitcoin mining stocks. I don't think that enough of them got enough of a reaction today to new all-time highs for Bitcoin. So I'll be looking for some sentiment to come back to those names tomorrow as well. I think the volume will be better tomorrow. And a couple of those names need a bounce because they sold off today for no reason. And then other than that, that's pretty much it. I saw a good flow coming to SEAH today, although a lot of it was just kind of chatter and hype. That could probably flush back to the tens as well if that dies down. But I did see some good flow coming in there, and then I saw some good flow coming into XPDI as well. So I'm keeping an eye on that. Those are names that I'm already in, but for potentially for opportunities to increase size if I feel a run is coming. And then outside of that, what else? That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I agree with you. But I think if Ribbon starts to run around 10 or 11, people will start to sell the EV companies to buy more Rivian. I think the first stock they go and sell
That could happen,
Tesla.
but I think if it runs all day, I think the rest of the sector runs. I think if it tanks, the rest of the sector tanks.
Yeah,
But
I
I mean,
think
yeah, you could be right.
yeah, it could, right? Either way, people might want to buy in, let's say Rivian, right? And most of the people who are long EV, they own Tesla and Lucid. So where will the money come from?
Yeah, I mean that we obviously you can never predict the reaction, but I mean usually when you have an IPO in a sector and it's booming, it usually drags the sector with it. I mean it's not like a hard rule, but that's just in most cases at least.
Yeah, I
My
think same thing
experience.
happened to the right. Tesla was down 10% on almost no news. The last news it had was the Elon Musk tweet, but Monday
That's what I'm
it's down
saying.
in
Like
6%. I
after
think
today,
today
though,
people were freeing up capital to buy Rivian and IPO.
yeah, that could be the case. But I mean, after today, some of these stocks, even though they are overextended on the longer charts, after today, some of these stocks are looking for an excuse to run. I think if Rivian like explodes again, if it trades tomorrow from 78 like to the 90s and even 100 plus, like if that happens, I definitely think the other stocks that sold off today will rally. But
Yeah,
I mean, again, that's just speculation. Who knows?
yeah, and one thing to know, I wouldn't buy it at $100. Look into Ford. Ford owns 10% of Rivian, almost an $8 or $9 billion stake, and that's almost 10% of the market cap. So
Amazon will rip too.
no,
If
no,
it, if
Amazon
it
is 20%, right? If you do the math, it's 1% of the market cap at 1.8 trillion. 20% is 16.2 billion. So that's under 1%. So the exposure you get with Amazon for every $100 you put in, it's $1. But with Ford, every $100 you get $10 of Rivian. So it's almost a 10x exposure.
that's a good point.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this conversation. I'm excited for this IPO tomorrow and to see the whole sector moving with it. Real quick, just because we've been running for over an hour and a half, I want to get to Mel and then Andrew, and then we'll go around and give some time for any closing remarks anybody has or anything else that's on their mind. Oh, I have one question for exclusive after the hands. So Mel, would you like to go first?
Yes, sure will. So in closing, outside of everything that's already been shared. A few others that I'm looking at more on a shorter term that I feel needs to be mentioned. Let's keep an eye on Skills, SKLZ. We all know this one's been beat down. This is a higher short squeeze name with 26% short on a 275 million float. They will be attending a conference. They don't do many of these. The Jefferies Interactive Entertainment Conference 2021 that will be running 11/11. You have only Microsoft, Skills, and FNKO there. But additionally, it was reported after hours that Skills will also be attending on 11/16 the RBC Capital Markets Technology Conference. So one to keep an eye on. We did have an F4 filing out yesterday where it was disclosed that the insiders were buying some shares. We've also had some large dark pool activity. So once I get off of here, I'll put a chart of that. So make sure you're keeping that one on your watch list into tomorrow, especially the shorter term day traders. Or I'm sorry, it's going to be 11/11. That's going to be Thursday. Keep that on your watch list.
Awesome. Definitely looking forward to it. Appreciate everything you do, Mel. And always excited to be checking out Black Box Stocks and what's going on there. Okay, Andrew, going to you.
Yeah, so I know we've been talking about seasonality pretty much all night. And what's so cool about the seasonality is you get into your end. I know somebody mentioned, hey, like as you close out the year, there's like a 70% chance of an advance in December. What's really cool is a lot of that seasonality that we get into the tail of the year, it's because a lot of these fund managers, they're chasing their performance bogeys. So a lot of these fund managers, like this has been an incredibly confusing year where, beginning of the year was super strong, then growth stocks got killed in February and March, like all the SPACs got killed, everything, like just so many rotations throughout the year that a lot of these fund managers, they're competing for their careers. Like the fund management business, it's super fickle. Where if these guys underperform, they could potentially lose their jobs, they could be fired. So a lot of this speculation we've been seeing over the past couple of weeks, like I've been seeing companies that are like doubling overnight and like, doubling and tripling over the course of like a week or two. That's like a lot of desperation among these fund managers. What's very interesting now is, the put to call ratio is just like super stacked in terms of everyone's just been loading up on calls. We're seeing all these sentiment metrics like the CNN Fear and Greed Index, super up there. So yeah, it's this really interesting game where all these players, you're trying to fly as close to the sun as you can without getting burned. So now, like, we're gonna see basically who is swimming naked, tomorrow, because it looks like the market, overnight it's a little bit soft. We're probably gonna open up below the 5-day EMA tomorrow. So tomorrow could be that day where everyone, runs around with their hair on fire and just, tries to sell everything and like buy puts, all at the same time. So yeah, just important to note that. That's what I was saying earlier. Like, I want to be in a good position where if we do pull back, I can actually be aggressive on that pullback, not like, licking my wounds. But one name that I am watching for tomorrow, and I may or may not trade this one, but it looks very solid. Pubmatic. And the person that originally recommended this, gotta give a shout out to Simon Erickson from 7 Investing. He runs a pretty cool product. I subscribe to their product. He recommended this one, I think it was like a month ago. He recommended it when it was at $25.82. Simon Erickson, I really respect that guy. He's the CEO, and then his picks are also, I think he's like the best advisor on their team. But yeah, Pubmatic, they just reported their earnings after hours today, and they smashed their earnings. And what's notable about that is PubM, they operate in the digital advertising space, and a lot of these other digital advertising companies have whiffed their earnings reports. So like Digital Turbine, ticker symbol apps, that one was just a complete whiff, sold off. MGNI, another name in the space, complete whiff, sold off. Pubmatic just beat on their EPS and sales by a good margin, and they're guiding higher. And what's interesting about PubM, granted the market looks like it might be a little soft tomorrow, but PubM is a very low float stock. So PubM has, let's see the share float. Yeah, I'm seeing a share float. Oh, geez. Yeah, it's only 19.72 million shares in the float, and about 15% of the float is short. And Pubmatic, it's not like some super extended stock that it's already doubled and tripled throughout this year. They just reported some solid numbers, and pretty much no one is long this thing yet. So definitely one to look out for tomorrow.
Very interesting. Another one to add to my ever-growing watch list. You love to see it, program. And also, a couple people were DMing me throughout yours. They were asking about what tickers you were saying, what tickers Mel was saying. For everybody, just a reminder, this is recorded. I saw Angie come into this space, so I think that she just kept the recording running, hopefully. And yeah, I will upload that ASAP to both YouTube and Spotify. It actually goes out to all of the platforms. I just upload it to this thing called Fire Starter, and it puts it out to everything. And that link is in the Wolf bio, as well as the calendar link and all those other links. You can check that out there. Okay, exclusive, quick question for you, and then would love to hear your wrap up as well. And this has to do with selling Tesla puts, I believe. Yeah, looks like so somebody in the audience asked this. They said they took a big hit on their Tesla 1160 weekly puts that they sold for this Friday. They were wondering if it's advisable to buy to close and absorb the loss or pick up the contracts and start selling covered calls. Any thoughts on that? Might still be muted.
Yeah, I thought you were muted. We couldn't hear you. Could you
Oh, you
repeat the
couldn't hear
question?
me.
Yeah.
Ah, that's what it was. Okay, real quick, exclusive question for you. Or if anyone else wants to chime in. So this was somebody from the audience that asked, they were talking about Tesla. They had sold the 1160 weekly puts. They had then taken a large hit on those, and they're wondering if it's advisable to close and absorb the loss or to pick up contracts and start selling covered calls.
I think the same guy keeping my spaces asked him one question. Do you want to own Tesla at that price for long term? He said he's not sure, so
There you go. I think that that's the answer.
yeah, if you
Yeah,
want to own Tesla at this price for long term, yeah, go ahead. The loss you will have with these calls would be the same loss you will have if you bought 100 shares at that price. So if you're okay owning Tesla at that price, you shouldn't have a problem because the loss is same, but you put out way less capital. But if you don't like Tesla long term, it might go lower, so your loss might triple, quadruple, or 10x too.
yeah, totally hear what you're
Yeah,
saying
all
there.
depends whether do you want to own Tesla at that price long term or not. That's what you should decide whether you should sell or buy more.
Got it, got it. I also think exclusive. Did you hear the question? I saw you got booted.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
That was weird, man. I could not unmute my mic. That was weird. I tried to
Yes.
DM you. I was like, yo, I can't unmute. What was the question?
So I think, Gerg, I think you might have just hit on it, but just real quick. So somebody, and they'd come already to the space, so clearly they're space hopping. They basically asked, they had sold the weekly 1160 Tesla puts for this Friday. They were wondering if it's advisable to buy those to close and absorb the loss or to pick up the contracts and start selling covered calls. And Gerg Gavin's input on that was it all depends on whether this is a price that you're comfortable holding Tesla at long term. I'm just want to get your thoughts.
Yeah, because you're only selling a covered call when you're long on the stock on the underlying. So if you have a common position, then that would be the only reason you would sell a covered call. But it really just, I mean, it's already been said. It just depends on if this is a price you want to own the stock at your cost average.
100%. Cool. That
I
was my
usually I
question.
usually just like to avoid, I mean, at the most, versus going too in depth with like condors and calendars and all that crap. I like to stick with just basic calls and puts or maybe strangles for earning lottos if you're expecting a huge swing. But, the if you're mixing your common stock with your option trading, if it's on the same account, that would be in the best interest to be trading these covered calls. But other than that, it just depends on where you want to own because you're selling the right to those 100 shares.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, I think that definitely makes sense. And then just wanted to throw it to you for, anything else that's on your radar moving forward, or any other comments you want to make?
Um, yeah, no, I mean, other than, the tickers I already went over, looking at where Disney was, because, we were talking about Disney for a second, it closed right above that golden pocket after it held the ADMA on the daily. So that would have been the ideal entry. But, going into earnings, as we've seen lately, the moves have been a little bit unpredictable. But yeah, I don't think I'll have a position either way. But if I do, it'll probably be a strangle. Or a risk-free position at the most. But I think until it reclaims the 100 MA, I won't even look at it, which is 176.50 plus.
Okay, gonna keep our eyes on that. Appreciate it. Looking forward to tuning into the Discord in the morning. Great Discord, great call, by the way. Appreciate that. Um, I saw some people just hopping in there right now. And once again, make sure you're checking out the speakers up here. They'll have great information about them in their bios. Cream of the crop, some of my favorites to listen to on a weekly basis. All these people are doing spaces nonstop, giving away their time for free. They really don't ask for much. I like to ask that you follow them. I think it's very much well worth it. So appreciate everybody that is up here. Mr. Danny Nas, would love to hear any closing thoughts from you.
Yeah. So give me 1 second. Just have some background noise here. Yeah, not too much to talk about. Just to reiterate my 3 picks that I'm watching this week: Big C, Okta, OKTA, and TTD. And in similar fashion to the last 10 weeks, I've been giving out top 10 lists. And so my top 10 list for this evening is going to be the top 10 wealth killers. So here's your top 10 wealth killers. And I'll post this in a bit, so in case you can't write everything down. So number 1, no goals. Number 2, avoiding failure. Number 3, short-term mindset. Number 4, constantly consuming. Number 5, not making connections. Number 6, calling everything a scam. Number 7, not tracking your expenses. Number 8, comparing yourself to others. Number 9, relying on one income stream. And last but not least, number 10, having no control over your time. So these are, in my world, the top 10 wealth killers. And I think some of those actually could be applied to the top 10 trade killers as well. So, for me, I'm a technical trader by trade, but I work a lot on mindset, habits, and anything and everything around trading psychology. And I do mentoring sessions. And the first thing I always address right off the bat is trading psychology, which we had a great space on last week. So, Gav, thank you very much for hosting that. It's so important. I think it's really, really underrated, especially for new traders that are coming into the market. You have these wild swings of emotions, this exuberant joy when you have the big wins, and those depressing lows when you have that big loss. And the one thing I've realized in my trading career is the moment I stopped having those feelings, the moment I would have, 5-figure winners and not even feel a little bit of joy, that's when I knew that I had my trading psychology under control, and that I can then freely take positions without worrying about whether or not this is going to turn around on me, worrying about whether or not it's the right trade or the wrong trade to take. You got to get your trading psychology under wraps. So that's what I got for this evening, Gab. Thank you so much again for having me. These Tuesday night Twitter spaces with my fellow traders up here is something I really look forward to during the week. So appreciate all of you. Big shout out to Stock Talk, Gav, Wolf, the Money Mel, Andrew, exclusive. You guys are awesome. I know X is not here. Xavier, big shout out to my New Jersey boy there. So thanks everybody again. Thanks everybody in the audience. Appreciate you being here. Hope to see you again next Tuesday night. Take care, everybody. Have a great evening and good luck in the markets this week.
Absolutely, and echo everything you said there, Danny, to the panel. And Danny is just, once again, I can't speak highly enough what he's doing. And if you can get him on these mentoring sessions and what he's doing, it's awesome. And he went through and dropped charts for basically every person that dropped under that tweet that I put out for what they wanted. And I'm sure if there's more that you tweet at him, I'll probably be happy to respond. So appreciate everything that you are doing. X, did you have a comment on that?
No, it wasn't regarding Danny, and Danny, I appreciate you as well for the shout out. Great content, follow him, great stuff on there. I was actually looking at Pubmatic earlier. I completely forgot about this one. Obviously, they had stellar earnings. Curiously, I really should have. I want to say I should have sized more, but going into earnings, you never want to be oversized. But the move was through the daily 100 moving average, and it just blew right past the IPO range, blew past the 236 fib, and touched the 382 fib. Posted a chart for it. I'll post it in this space here so people can see. If we can hold the newly formed 200-day moving average, which is at 38.12, if we can hold that level tomorrow at the open or possibly throughout the day, we could probably get a move back to that 382 and possibly higher with enough momentum. The RSI sits at 75.69, so it's not crazy just yet, but definitely one to watch out for because once you get above these value area highs on these fixed range volume profiles, it's really there's almost no there's some, but there's hardly any volume resistance above that 4270 area until you get to about 45, 46. So that's if you're looking for something like that, that's something to pay attention to this week if it holds. But if it doesn't, play the downside too. So that was just another name I was looking at.
Got it. One thing
That's
also that wanted.
PUBM.
Yeah, PUBM. Also wanted to bring this from what Danny was just saying. He mentioned the market psychology space, which I think is incredibly important at this point in my trading career. I think there's two things that are really important when it comes to psychology, and one is, of course, experience. There's no greater teacher than experience. You need to lose in order to win at the end of the day in most places. So that's definitely, I think, the same case here. And so it's going to take time and years and trades and stuff like that. But the other part is you can influence what you're absorbing, information that you're absorbing in the content. So with that market psychology space, that was great to be able to come and learn from people who had that experience, who can at least give you, because I think it's a 50-50 relationship of setting yourself on the right path, but then also learning from it. And so that is recorded on the Spotify, but I'm gonna do another one, I think, next week on that market psychology, because the mindset part of this cannot be underrated. And there were so many good tips to take away from that, whether it was the sticky notes, the journaling, the mindsets, knowing the trade when you put it in, how to make sure that you're confident in it. So many good spots. Awesome. And also shout out to Jim Osmond, see you in the crowd. We got to get you on a space again soon. Okay, Stock Talk Weekly. Any parting thoughts?
No, nothing in particular. I mean, I guess my first little blurb, I kind of gave just my outlook on the week. But yeah, I mean, I think today was a necessary pullback, and a lot of these recent momentum runners, that have been up for some of them for 2 months, others for a few weeks. You need that for healthy price action. So, I don't find it too concerning on an individual stock basis. I do think the indices need a bit of a pullback, but granted, they have at several different junctures over the last few weeks, and we never got those pullbacks. The market just kept ripping higher, and so I think in pockets of stocks in certain sectors, there's probably cause for more rotation going into the end of the year. I still think small caps will have a really good December for the most part. The rest of this month, I'm not sure. I think it's going to continue to be very theme based. Like I said, that's why I'm watching Rivian's IPO and seeing how that changes or continues to hammer sentiment in the sector one way or the other. So I'll continue to monitor that, and then I'm kind of looking for this metaverse theme to play out. I know we've seen pops because of this metaverse theme when the news came out, but seeing Microsoft and Apple talk about it more now, I think you're going to see some more sustained runners, both in the small, mid cap, and large cap names that are related. to that sector. I mean, we've seen big runs from NVIDIA and AMD too, which I think, were at least partially fueled by that trend. So there's a couple different trends I'm watching, EVs, that, and I'm obviously watching, how RDW reacts tomorrow, that being a big holding of mine, and, watching how that reaction goes and seeing when they reschedule those earnings. But yeah, just kind of reiterating what I said earlier, kind of playing things how they come for now.
Sounds good. Appreciate it. Gerg, anything else you wanted to add?
Yo, what's your question?
Just anything else you wanted to add
Yeah,
to the convo?
Yeah, I'm just watching Rivian for tomorrow, so I will wait for that to make my moves. All eyes on Rivian for tomorrow.
Okay. It's definitely going to be interesting watching that with the IPO in the sector. And will you and Stock Talk Weekly and Stock Market News, are you guys all going to be live in the morning?
I'm live every single day on Twitter, so.
Perfect, perfect. Yeah, it's always a great time. Make sure that you guys, are following. Some of these guys are going live definitely at times that I'm not. I'll be live at 12 p.m. EST tomorrow with Jonah Lupton doing a one-on-one growth stock Q&A. I hope he'll still do it. He may be morning. We'll have to see how Upstart performs in the morning. I might have to ship him a case of Celsius overnight. We'll see. We'll see.
Isn't that down too?
What'd you say?
Isn't that down too? 10% after hours Celsius?
No, don't tell me that. Oh my God. All right, we will have literally a, oh no, no, it's not. Don't be lying to me like that. It's down less than 1%.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
not down.
Oh yeah, my bad. It was 1%.
Yeah.
I thought it was 10%.
Okay, sure. I literally just had a heart attack. I was like, there's no way Jonah's doing the space tomorrow if Celsius is down 10% too. I'd be screwed.
No, I should go shorter in the morning, so it's down 10%. Just to piss him off.
Good luck. Good luck. Okay, Evan, I'd love to hear if you have any other thoughts.
No, I'm honestly just excited to go live tomorrow, hopefully for this Rivian Spaces. Do some stuff on that, highlight that tomorrow. Who knows, maybe we'll be live in the morning for one of those good old all-day spaces again tomorrow. I'm working on my newsletter. Gav, when you go through, I would love to get your pitch on the calendar because we've tried this multiple times. I've tried to give it, and I just am not good at giving the pitch. You're much better at it.
Let me do it
but
real
yeah,
quick, and then
go
I'll
for
go
it.
back to you. Just for anybody who's here, this is one of the best things that we can offer for free, in my opinion, and that is the Google Spaces calendar. I'm very tight with the Spaces team. I announced this earlier today. Sorry, Evan, I'm going to announce it again. I'm very excited that yesterday I got an email that I was accepted to the Twitter Spaces Spark program, which is the new Twitter Spaces incubator. That's going to be a 3-month program that'll start December 1st. They're going to do a lot of monetary support. They're going to promote my spaces in the algorithm as well as through marketing credits and some other stuff. It's going to be like one-on-ones and stuff like that with the spaces team. Of course, all the squad that's up here is going to reap the benefits because we all do our spaces together. So we'll be top of the line, and so I'm very excited for that. However, one of the areas that they're lacking is in telling people when spaces are going to be, because I can only put out one reminder tweet at a time. So what did we do? We created the Google Spaces calendar. There's almost 700 people on there now. Literally, all you have to do if you want to be on it is just shoot me a DM with your email. Make sure your email's in there, and just say you want to be added to the Spaces calendar, and then easily you'll get a little add-on to your Google Calendar, and you can just toggle it on and off. You can see when all the spaces are. Might even start adding some of these other guys' spaces to it, so people can just know when all these spaces are. It's right now the most comprehensive calendar for Twitter Spaces in the world. I feel pretty good saying that because I haven't seen anything else at all like it. So feel free to shoot that to myself or Stock Market News. In addition to that, if you do want our newsletters, the Wolf newsletter, Stock Market News newsletter, or the Bullish Rippers newsletter, which are both free and non-overwhelming, like once or twice a week max, feel free to ask for those too, because we'll be able to add you because if you want, totally if you want with your email. Cool, that's the calendar pitch. Evan, turning it back to you for anything else you wanted to say.
Only thing I want to add is just follow all these amazing speakers we have up here. We're so lucky to have all these people up here, every single one of them. Check out their profiles, give them a follow, click in. And yeah, like I said, I'm excited to go live again tomorrow. Maybe for one of these all day guys again.
Yeah, 100%. Definitely these guys will be live in the morning. I'll be doing some live trading, hopefully talking with them. I have some team meetings in the morning. Additionally, like I said, I'm gonna put out a tweet after this, and I'm gonna tweet that me and Jonah are doing at 12 p.m. And hopefully, because I tweet him and I don't ask him ahead of time, he'll just do it. So that'll be tomorrow. We'll be talking growth stocks. We are definitely going to talk Upstart if we're on there. We're going to talk Celsius, DMTK. I know these things took crap today. They got hammered. But hey, when there's blood in the water, there's also opportunity. So we'll be chatting that. Our 3 p.m. with the street got canceled for this week, but we'll have some big stuff coming with them. And then 7 p.m. tomorrow, 5 p.m. tomorrow, I want to say. I'm doing one with Stock Talk Weekly and SPAC Guru and SPAC Insider, and it's going to be analyzing SPACs. First space that I've done really digging into SPACs. We're going to go deep and tell people how to do their due diligence, SPACs that we like. We're going to talk about NAV. We're going to talk about teams that we like that are leading SPACs. So much good stuff there with really I think we got the preeminent authorities on Twitter that are going to be there. And then at 7 p.m., we're going to do a space, myself, Stock Market News, and the other speakers are welcome, where we'll be chatting about earnings. So that is going to be analyzing earnings from both, pretty much from the fundamentals. So we're going to do at least Coin, Upstart, SoFi, which is going to report. So all of those will be going on tomorrow as well. So a packed day. And then Thursday, planning a big space with Benzinga. So keep an eye out for that. With that being said, thank you so much to the listeners. You chose to tune in, to learn, to educate. Immensely happy. It makes this all worth it. It's really fun to see everybody coming in, 500 people at 10 p.m. EST at night, chilling in here with us. Nothing better than that, to be honest. And with that being said, wishing everyone health, wealth, success, a good night. Evan, I'll turn it back to you since it's your space. If you want to say anything else before you close it out.
No, I'm just going to end it.
Sounds good. Take care, y'all.